Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Way of Mastery. You'll have to excuse my voice a little bit. Apparently, I've got a little bit of something going on. Ironic. Made it all the way through the winter with no problem, and then all of a sudden, we got this little frog thing going on. So, anyways, it's good to see you. I'm really, really glad that you're here. Today, we're doing lesson 15, Love or Fear. And once again, some of these chapters are fairly short, but man, oh man, are they powerful. And exactly the same for this one. At the very end of this chapter, it says, yeah, you might want to read this one several times over. So very, very powerful. And don't let it only being 10 pages fool you. It is extremely, extremely powerful. So let's dive right in. I just love the way Joshua connects with us when we start off each of the chapters. And he says, just, for this moment right now, just realize that you don't need to be concerned about anything. In other words, hey, let this day go and just trust that the thing that you're going to do over the next few moments is pretty important and special. And then in the following paragraph, he goes on to say, focus on your willingness to prepare a place for us and to hear subtle vibrations. And I just want to share that with you because for my own experience, what I'm noticing is I start to tune in more and listen more and slow down more. It's the subtle differences, which are the things that is making a huge difference for me, because my experience has taught me that the stuff has always been there. It's just, am I slowing down enough to play with it, to engage with it, right? Okay, so this is one of my favorite concepts in the entire book. I use this with my coaching clients all the time. But in the paragraph that starts off, that says you have a term in your legal system called temporary insanity. And to me, when I'm working with people, what I say is that often what happens is that when we get triggered by something, it is literally temporary insanity. And our only job at that point in time, when you get triggered by something, is to do everything that you can to get out of it, because nothing good happens when you're in temporary insanity. You don't come up with great answers. You feel very restricted. All of these things happen as a result of being in temporary insanity. And so I just love the concept that Jesus talks about it, because I borrow it when I'm working with my coaching clients. And I just think it's such a powerful, because if you think about it, it's like when you're like that, the thought of, oh yeah, this is temporary insanity. What's my only job? My only job is to get out of it as quickly as I possibly can and return me to a sense of normalcy and connection, right? Awesome. Okay, I'm flipping over for me now. Again, I know the pages are off a little bit, but I'm going to page 180. Beloved friends, the paragraph starts, and he goes on to say, when you feel like your commitment has wavered, when you have become aware of it, simply choose anew. Don't make a big deal about it. Don't shame, blame, judge, or guilt yourself in any way, shape, or form. Just go, oh, yeah, my commitment has wavered a little bit. Oh, that's right. This is really important to me. Oh, that's right. This is what I really want in my life. Oh, that's right. This is what I need to be focusing on again, right? So in the next section, a meditation to attune to the will and love of God is super beautiful, and it's going to be the exercise for the month, if you will. And so I'm not going to go into the specifics of it, but there's really three parts of it. The first part of it is you start off with 5 minutes of I accept. You breathe, and then you say the love of God, and then you breathe again, and you say I accept, and then you breathe again, and you say the love of God. So it's just a repetition of this, and I love it. I love it. I love it, because we're not taught to receive or to accept. Some people would consider that to be arrogant, and it's a skill set to learn how to accept the love that God is giving you, right? And then there's another part of it where he talks about this idea of repeating after that. As Christ, I have celebrated in this manner the truth of who I am, and I bring peace to the world this day. And that's done after you do the original meditation in the middle of the day, and then towards the end of the day, you change it up and say, this day I brought peace to the world and offered it to my companions. And so there's the exercise, right? So you can go through that. I don't feel like I need to spend a lot of time with that. In the section called The Only Energy That Can Separate You from the Kingdom, this starts to get really rich for me. It's kind of like eating a big bar of chocolate. I can only take one bite at a time, and then I got to back off and slow down, right? Towards the one paragraph, it says, you have a phrase in your world, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. That is 98% accurate. Fear is the only energy that can separate you from the kingdom. Fear, that's it. So I love that. In the paragraph that starts, therefore, you will use the moment, birth, and time to bring it to what is eternal to it. Or will you continue to believe that yet within you, there is no possible power to choose love over fear? Look around you. What do your eyes show you? Would you bless it or curse it? So again, it's just becoming aware. What are you doing throughout the course of your day? Are you loving things or are you cursing things? Right? I love the paragraph where he goes on to say, therefore, in this lesson, we are choosing to speak with you more rationally than emotionally. We would ask you to consider this. Have you suffered enough? Have you kept yourself small enough? Have you tasted limitation deeply enough to know that you want these things no longer? Would you be willing to patiently choose the dissolving of your illusions? For on just the other side of each illusion is the freedom and the peace that you seek. I love that. In the next paragraph, I love this. Here's another awareness, right? Paying attention. In any moment, you can tell quite clearly what you're most committed to. If the body is tight and uncomfortable, if you must speak with a louder voice, if your words come more quickly, if the brow is furrowed and the jaw tense, rest assured, you have chosen to be devoted to fear. So just becoming aware of what's going inside of your body is absolutely fantastic. In the paragraph that starts off, as you look upon each segment, each scene, and each minute in your movie, you begin to cultivate the deliberate practice of recognizing that you're in a field of energy that is your perfect servant. Within that moment, you are the one with the power to make the moment be whatever it is you wish to be. It can be filled with Christ consciousness, if that's what you choose, because you have the ability to choose that, or it can be filled with temporary insanity. So I love the way that, like, Jesus is really saying, you got a choice. You can either be in Christ consciousness or you can be in temporary insanity. For those of you that have seen me speak on Sunday, sometimes I'll talk about you being on a different operating system. And in my opinion, this defines it. So to me, a different operating system is Christ consciousness. And temporary insanity is basically the other operating system. And as we go through the course and we go through this awakening, what happens, at least it certainly happened for me, and I'm hearing that is starting to happen for you as well, is you're choosing Christ consciousness versus temporary insanity, right? I love the line where he says, and never ever has there been such a thing as a victim. You're never a victim. Again, just reemphasizing that point that he's been making throughout the entire book. Therefore, as you enter into any one of your moments, ask yourself, what is this moment for? What do I decree this moment to be? What do I most want to learn by teaching it? And I love this because he goes on to talk about, to teach is to demonstrate. To demonstrate is to express what you have decided will hold the greatest value for you. Whenever you judge another, you are decreeing that the thing of greatest value is separation. Oh. Since judgment always causes contradiction and therefore separation from another. When you practice forgiveness, you are decreeing that what you value is joining in holy and peace and a peace-filled relationship. I just think that's really powerful. The next section is quite beautiful because he really starts bringing up this concept of Easter, of resurrection. And even though obviously Easter has already passed for us, there's still some really, really beautiful parts of this section that I love. The question that starts off with this, my question for you is, would you be willing to surrender your illusion in order to remember the peace of God? Right? Beautiful. What does that mean? It means that you've chosen to awaken from the uselessness of separation and uselessness of victimhood and the uselessness of weakness. And you have chosen to accept the empowerment of becoming responsible for this dimension of creation the empowerment of deciding to walk the earth as the arisen Christ. And then he goes on to really talk about the different parts of the crucifixion, which metaphysically I find this fascinating. And he first of all starts us with a paragraph that says, you have chosen to take the message of an historical event. And then he goes on to say, there's a sentence in the middle of that paragraph that says, for you have well been crucified by your own thoughts. So this is where he starts ripping it apart. And then he starts talking about, for example, when you're nailed upon a cross, you're stuck between a vertical axis of eternity and the horizontal axis of time in the body. Imagine that you lift your head upon which you have placed the crown of thorns. What does that represent? It represents the field of the mind, and as it operates and expresses through the body, through the brain. So again, everything represents something in the scenario of the resurrection that we've heard, but now he's doing a metaphysical interpretation of it, which I absolutely love. The one paragraph that says the crown of thorns, therefore, symbolizes the effect of the thoughts that you insist upon when you rest in judgment or anger or hurt or fear. That is when you choose to deny love. Awesome. Then he goes on to define the nails. The nails merely represent that which you hold, that holds you stuck in a dimension, the horizontal dimension of the body of time, which would nail your feet to the world. Down to earth, they call it. Yet above you, the crown of your head is open heavenward, and you are free to receive the love of God, to choose only loving thoughts, to look gently upon everyone and every event, seeing only perfect innocence. Beautiful, beautiful. And I love the next paragraph, which is really funny to me. He goes on to say, so imagine now that you have lifted your head and you realize the blood is dripping from the brow of my head. The crown of thorns was placed upon me by those who've come to serve me, to shock me, to remembrance that I've allowed myself at times to have thoughts of negativity, limitation, and fear. No wonder I have such a headache. Again, I love Jesus's humor, right? The world will seek to nail you down to earth by insisting that you think with it. For remember, always the world, not the earth, but the world of human experience is the attempt to create that which is the opposite of reality, like many who would gather together to take a drug and think that their insanity is the same as the bliss and ecstasy as a union with God. Right? Further down, it goes on to say, it is the decision that you must make to be determined to choose only what is real, regardless of what the eyes seem to show you and what every mind around you seems to believe, even those who profess belief in your message of love. And then Jesus starts talking about ultimately when he just surrendered. He just surrendered everything over to Spirit. And that's the sentence where he says, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And so he goes on to talk about that. And he talks about Easter being your birthday, which I love. He goes on to say in the following paragraph after that, Easter is for you and not for me, which I love. Yeah, and in a nutshell, that's what I took away from this chapter. It's powerful. There's so many more things in this chapter that are so wonderful and divine and fantastic. I really, really hope you enjoy it and get it and understand that it really comes down to you just making a decision. Well, do I want to operate in temporary insanity, or do I want to choose to Christ consciousness? What am I choosing here? And the idea that when you choose temporary insanity, you can feel it in your body. And that's the thing for me that I keep focusing on when I'm doing, and I'm trying to pay attention as much as I can. What are you feeling in your body, Mike? What are you feeling in your body? So having said that, I hope you enjoy the chapter as much as I have. It's fantastic. And that's lesson 15. Next week, we're going to be talking about the birth. Lesson 16 is the birth of egoic consciousness. Stay tuned and have a great rest of your day. Okay. Bye-bye now.